The shove happened so fast that nobody reacted in time. Elena Hart had just turned away from Madeline Royce when both of the fiancé's hands struck the middle of her back. Elena stumbled forward. Her tray crashed onto the stone terrace. Then she disappeared over the edge of the swimming pool. Guests screamed. For one terrifying second, Elena surfaced, eyes wide with panic. She tried to reach the edge, but her movements were wild and uncoordinated. She couldn't swim. Madeline stood frozen beside the pool. "She slipped," she shouted. "I didn't touch her." Across the terrace, billionaire Lucas Bennett dropped his champagne glass. He did not ask what happened. He did not remove his jacket. He ran. And in front of nearly 150 guests, Lucas jumped straight into the water after the maid his fiancée had spent months calling invisible. 3 months earlier, Elena had arrived at the Bennett estate carrying one suitcase and a recommendation from a small Boston hotel. At 28, she was quiet, hardworking, and almost painfully careful about doing everything correctly. She needed the job. Her mother had recently undergone surgery, and Elena had taken responsibility for most of the bills. The Bennett estate paid well enough that she could finally stop choosing between rent and medication. Lucas Bennett was 36 and owned a chain of luxury hotels across the country. Newspapers described him as ruthless in business, but the staff knew another side of him. He said thank you. He remembered birthdays. And when employees made honest mistakes, he corrected them without humiliating them. His fiancée, Madeline Royce, was the opposite. Madeline had grown up around private clubs, designer gowns, and people who had learned never to tell her no. She treated the household staff as though they were decorations that occasionally moved. On Elena's third day, Madeline dropped a glass of red wine onto a white rug. "You missed a spot," she said after Elena cleaned it. Elena examined the carpet. "Where?" Madeline smiled and deliberately poured another drop. "There." Elena cleaned that too. Madeline expected anger. Elena gave her none. That irritated her more. The only person in the mansion who openly liked Elena was Lucas's grandmother, Rose Bennett. At 7 to 9, Rose had sharp eyes, a sharper tongue, and very little patience for Madeline. One afternoon, Elena brought Rose tea in the garden. "You don't like her," Rose said suddenly. Elena nearly dropped the cup. "Excuse me?" "My future granddaughter-in-law." "That isn't my business." "Excellent answer. It means I'm right." Elena smiled despite herself. Lucas heard the exchange from the doorway. It was the first time Elena saw him laugh. Madeline saw it too. After that, her behavior changed. She began assigning Elena unnecessary work whenever Lucas was nearby. She complained that Elena's uniform was too neat, her voice too confident, and her habit of speaking directly to Lucas inappropriate. One evening, Lucas found Elena wrapping a bandage around her wrist in the kitchen. "What happened?" "Laundry cart slipped." "You should have someone look at that." "It's fine." Madeline entered before Elena could leave. Her eyes went from Lucas to Elena's injured wrist. "Why are you discussing her personal problems?" Lucas frowned. "I asked if she was hurt." "She works here. People get tired." Elena quietly left the room. Behind her, she heard Lucas say, "That doesn't mean they stop being people." Madeline never forgot those words. A week later, invitations went out for their poolside engagement luncheon. 150 guests. Investors. Family friends. Society reporters. Madeline wanted perfection. 2 days before the event, she cornered Elena beside the pool. "You'll serve the terrace." "Yes, Miss Royce." "And you will stay away from Lucas." Elena looked at her. "I serve whoever needs serving." Madeline stepped closer. "Don't pretend you don't know what you're doing." "I don't." "He notices you." "That sounds like something you should discuss with him." Madeline's face hardened. "You think because he says thank you, you matter to him?" Elena held her gaze. "I matter whether he notices me or not." For several seconds, Madeline said nothing. Then she smiled. "Careful. Pride is dangerous when you forget your place." On the morning of the luncheon, the terrace glittered beneath white flowers and glass lanterns. Elena carried champagne between guests while Madeline smiled for photographs beside Lucas. Everything seemed perfect. Until Lucas stopped Elena near the pool. "How's the wrist?" Elena lifted it slightly. "Better." "Good." That was all. But Madeline saw the entire exchange. 10 minutes later, she found Elena alone near the deep end. "You really can't help yourself, can you?" Elena sighed. "I don't know what you want from me." I want you to stop looking at my fiancé like you belong beside him. I've never crossed a line with Mr. Bennett.
You don't have to. He does it for you.
Madeline grabbed a champagne glass from a nearby table and poured it down Elena's uniform.
Elena looked at the wet fabric. Then at Madeline.
I'm going to change.
She turned away. Madeline stared at her back. At the calmness. At the refusal to break. Something inside her snapped. She stepped forward and shoved Elena with both hands.
Elena fell into the pool. Madeline's anger disappeared instantly, because only after Elena hit the water did she hear one of the guests scream, "She can't swim." And across the terrace, Lucas Bennett was already running.
Lucas hit the water fully dressed.
His shoes dragged beneath him, but he ignored the weight and swam straight toward Elena. She had already gone under. For a second, all he could see was the white fabric of her uniform drifting beneath the surface. "Elena!"
He dove.
Her eyes were open but unfocused. Panic had exhausted her, and her hands were no longer fighting the water.
Lucas caught her around the waist and kicked upward.
When they broke the surface, Elena coughed weakly but could not hold herself up.
"Stay with me," Lucas said.
He dragged her toward the edge while two guests reached down to help. Madeline remained several steps away.
Her face had gone pale.
"I told you," she slipped.
Nobody answered.
Lucas lifted Elena onto the stone terrace and climbed out beside her.
Water poured from his suit as he checked her breathing.
"Elena, look at me." Her chest barely moved.
Rose Bennett pushed through the crowd.
"Give her space."
Lucas tilted Elena's head back.
He had taken emergency training years earlier for his hotels, but his hands still trembled as he began rescue breaths. Madeline stepped closer.
"This is ridiculous."
She was only underwater for a few seconds.
Rose turned on her.
"Then perhaps you should try it."
Lucas continued.
"Elena."
"Come on." One breath. Then another. Suddenly Elena coughed violently.
Water spilled from her mouth as she rolled onto her side, gasping. The entire terrace seemed to breathe with her. Lucas closed his eyes for 1 second in relief. When Elena looked up, the first face she saw was his.
"You jumped in," she whispered.
"You couldn't swim." A weak smile appeared. That was becoming obvious. Lucas almost laughed, but then he saw the red marks across her upper arms.
Finger marks. Not from falling. From being grabbed. His expression changed.
"What happened before you went in?"
Elena looked toward Madeline. Madeline immediately spoke. She lost her balance after spilling champagne.
"I reached for her, but I was too late."
"That isn't what happened," Elena said. The crowd went quiet again. Madeline's eyes hardened.
"Excuse me. You pushed me."
A ripple of whispers moved through the guests. Madeline laughed in disbelief.
"You're accusing me because you embarrassed yourself."
Elena tried to sit up. Lucas placed his jacket around her shoulders. "I was walking away."
"You put both hands on my back." Madeline looked at Lucas. "You cannot seriously believe this."
Lucas stood slowly.
"I'm listening." "To the maid."
"To the woman who nearly drowned."
Madeline's humiliation sharpened into anger. "She has wanted your attention since the day she arrived. Now she gets to play the victim while you kneel beside her in front of everyone."
Elena looked at her.
"I didn't ask him to jump."
"No.
You just made sure everyone was watching."
Rose's cane struck the stone.
"Enough."
Madeline turned.
"You should be defending me." "I defend people who deserve it." Before Madeline could respond, the estate manager arrived with a towel and whispered something to Lucas. The pool camera stopped recording 20 minutes before the incident.
Madeline's face remained calm. Too calm. Elena noticed. Lucas did too. "Why?" he asked.
"Technical failure," the manager replied. "Security is checking it." Madeline folded her arms.
"There.
No footage. So unless someone actually saw me push her, this accusation is finished."
Several guests avoided Elena's eyes. Most had turned only after hearing the splash. Then a young waiter stepped forward. "I saw Miss Royce follow her." Madeline stared at him. "Did you see me touch her?"
The waiter hesitated.
"No."
"Exactly."
His courage disappeared. Lucas looked around the terrace.
"Did anyone see the actual fall?"
Silence. Madeline smiled. Elena understood what was happening.
150 people had been present, but Madeline, had chosen the moment carefully. The pool had been partly hidden by floral arrangements, and everyone had been watching the photographer near the stage. Madeline leaned close to Elena. "Careful,"
she whispered.
Lies are expensive when the person you accuse can afford better lawyers.
Lucas heard the last words. His jaw tightened.
Paramedics arrived and insisted Elena go to the hospital.
She refused at first.
I'm fine. You stopped breathing, Lucas said. You're going.
Madeline laughed bitterly.
Are you going with her too?
Lucas looked at her.
Yes.
That answer struck harder than anything else had. Madeline grabbed his arm.
This is our engagement luncheon.
My employee nearly drowned.
She is not your responsibility.
Lucas pulled his arm away.
Everyone who works for me is my responsibility.
He followed Elena toward the ambulance.
Rose started after them, but before leaving, she stopped beside Madeline.
You made one mistake. Madeline forced a smile. And what would that be?
You assume nobody was watching.
Rose pointed toward the far side of the terrace.
A 12-year-old girl sat beside the flower wall holding a phone. She had been filming herself beside the pool seconds before Elena fell. When Rose approached, the girl's mother whispered.
She says she recorded everything.
Across the terrace, Madeline saw the phone. And for the first time since the shove, she looked afraid. Madeline crossed the terrace before Rose could reach the girl. Give me that phone.
The child pulled it against her chest.
Her mother stepped between them. Excuse me.
Madeline forced a smile. Your daughter may have recorded private guests. I'm asking her to delete it. Rose arrived beside them. No, she said.
She is going to show it to Lucas.
Madeline's eyes hardened.
This is a family matter. You turned it into a public matter when Elena went into that pool.
The girl unlocked her phone.
The video began with her smiling into the camera while the engagement party blurred behind her.
For several seconds, nothing important happened. Then Elena appeared near the pool. Madeline followed.
The girl's face remained in the foreground, but behind her, both women were clearly visible. Madeline poured champagne down Elena's uniform. Elena turned away. Then Madeline stepped forward.
Both hands hit Elena's back.
The video shook as the girl reacted to the splash, but the push was unmistakable.
Rose looked at Madeline.
You lied.
Madeline reached for the phone.
The girl's mother pulled it away. Don't touch her.
Madeline's voice dropped.
Do you have any idea who I am?
Yes, Rose replied.
Unfortunately. She immediately sent the video to herself, Lucas, and the estate manager. Madeline stared at the phone as if watching her entire future disappear. At the hospital, Lucas was sitting beside Elena when the video arrived. Elena had been treated for water inhalation and a bruised shoulder.
She was exhausted but stable. Lucas opened Rose's message. He watched the clip once. Then again. Elena saw his face change.
She recorded it.
He turned the phone toward her.
Madeline's hands were clearly visible against Elena's back.
For several seconds, Elena said nothing. Lucas stood.
I'm going back. Lucas.
He stopped.
Don't confront her because you're angry. She nearly killed you.
She pushed me because she was angry.
Don't make the same mistake.
He looked at Elena with disbelief.
You're protecting her.
No.
I'm protecting you from doing something you'll regret.
That answer followed him all the way back to the estate.
By the time Lucas arrived, most guests had left. Madeline waited inside the ballroom with her parents and 2 attorneys. You embarrassed me by leaving our engagement party in an ambulance, she said.
Lucas placed his phone on the table. The video played. Madeline's mother went silent. Her lawyer looked away. Madeline barely reacted. She turned suddenly.
I tried to catch her.
Lucas replayed the moment. Both hands extended. The shove was clear.
Try again.
Madeline's composure cracked.
She provoked me. So you admit you pushed her? She has been manipulating you for months. She serves coffee and speaks to my grandmother. You jumped into a pool for her.
Lucas stared at her. She was drowning.
You looked terrified.
I was. The room went still.
Madeline's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were real. Do you love her?
Lucas did not answer immediately. I don't know what I feel about Elena, he said.
But I know exactly what I feel about what you did. He removed the engagement ring from Madeline's finger.
Her face went white.
You cannot end this over a maid. I'm ending it because you deliberately hurt someone and then lied while she struggled to breathe.
Madeline stepped closer.
You'll regret humiliating me.
Lucas's expression hardened.
Leave my house. The next morning, Elena returned only to collect her belongings.
She expected Madeline to be gone. Instead, she found her waiting inside the servants' corridor.
You think you won?
Elena stopped.
There was nothing to win.
Madeline laughed bitterly.
He ended our engagement because of you. He ended it because of you.
Madeline slapped her. Elena's head turned.
For a second, neither woman moved.
Then Elena faced her again.
I'm not going to hit you back.
That's right.
Because you know your place.
No.
Because I know mine better than you know yours.
Madeline reached for her again.
A voice behind them said, Don't.
Lucas stood at the end of the corridor. Madeline froze.
Behind him were Rose, the estate manager, and 3 members of staff.
Lucas had seen everything. But Rose stepped forward before he could speak.
There is something else he needs to know. She held a folder taken from the housekeeper's office. Inside were months of written complaints against Madeline. Unpaid wage deductions. Threats.
Broken belongings blamed on staff.
Employees forced to work unpaid hours. And at the bottom was Elena's name. Rose looked at Lucas. The pool wasn't the first time she hurt someone. Then the head housekeeper entered carrying an old tablet. And we found footage from the kitchen cameras. On screen, Madeline deliberately spilled boiling coffee near Elena's injured wrist 2 weeks earlier.
Lucas stared at the woman he had almost married.
The push into the pool had not been one moment of jealousy. It had been the final act in months of cruelty. Lucas read every complaint in the folder. By the time he finished, the anger on his face had changed into something worse.
Shame.
For months, employees had reported Madeline for unpaid deductions, threats, insults, damaged belongings, and deliberately dangerous punishments. And almost every complaint had been quietly closed. Who handled these?
Lucas asked. The estate manager lowered his eyes.
Your former household director. Miss Royce told him the complaints were exaggerations. And nobody told me.
Rose answered for him.
People did tell you, Lucas. They simply told you through systems designed to keep uncomfortable truths away from you. That sentence stayed with him.
Elena stood near the doorway holding her packed suitcase. Lucas noticed.
You're leaving?
Yes.
You don't have to. That's not the same as wanting to stay.
Madeline laughed from across the corridor.
There it is. The performance.
She wants you to beg.
Elena looked at her.
I nearly drowned yesterday.
I was slapped again today.
I don't want revenge.
I want distance.
Lucas stepped closer.
Give me time to fix this. You can fix the house. You can't make it feel safe to me again. Madeline stared at Lucas, waiting for him to order Elena to stay.
He didn't. Instead, he looked at Elena's suitcase and nodded slowly.
If leaving is what you want, I won't stop you. For the first time, Elena saw that he understood respect did not mean rescuing her from every decision.
It meant allowing her to make one. But Madeline was not finished. By that afternoon, the pool video had leaked online. Within hours, reporters surrounded the Bennett estate.
The headlines were brutal. Billionaire's fiancée caught shoving Maid into pool.
Engagement ends after shocking video.
Madeline's publicist immediately released a statement claiming the video had been misinterpreted. Then came the second statement. It accused Elena of pursuing Lucas romantically, provoking Madeline for months, and deliberately destroying their engagement. Elena read it from her mother's apartment that evening. Her mother looked furious. She almost killed you, and now she says you stole her man. She needs a story where she is still the victim. The next morning, Elena received an email from the hospitality management program she had applied to months earlier.
Her interview had been suspended.
A complaint had been submitted claiming she had been fired for inappropriate involvement with an employer.
Elena stared at the screen. Madeline had found another way to push her.
Lucas arrived 20 minutes later after Rose told him what happened. I can call the program director.
No.
Elena, she is damaging your future. And if you fix it with one billionaire phone call, everyone will say I only succeeded because of you.
He stopped. Elena continued.
I need to clear my name myself. 3 days later, Madeline held a press conference at one of her family's hotels. She appeared in a dark suit, no engagement ring, and spoke softly about a private relationship destroyed by manipulation. I regret the pool incident, she said. But there were months of inappropriate behavior leading up to it. A reporter asked, Are you saying Elena Hart had an affair with Lucas Bennett?
Madeline paused perfectly.
I'm saying emotional betrayal can be just as painful.
Then the ballroom doors opened. Elena walked in. Rose followed her.
Behind them came the head housekeeper, the waiter from the pool, 2 former maids, and the mother of the girl who had recorded the shove. Madeline's face tightened.
Elena stopped before the reporters.
"I didn't come here to discuss Mr. Bennet's feelings," she said. "I came because Miss Royce used my job, my reputation, and now my future career as weapons." The head housekeeper placed copies of the staff complaints on the press table. The young waiter described Madeline threatening him after the pool incident. Another maid showed photographs of property Madeline had destroyed and charged against staff wages. Then Rose played the kitchen footage. On screen, Madeline deliberately spilled boiling coffee beside Elena's injured wrist and laughed when she pulled away.
The room changed.
Reporters who had arrived expecting a romantic scandal began asking different questions. How many employees complained? Did you deduct wages illegally? Did you contact Elena's training program?
Madeline's composure broke. This is ridiculous. They are servants.
Of course they complain.
The microphone caught every word. Silence followed. Elena looked at her.
That sentence is exactly why I'm here. Madeline stepped away from the podium. Her attorney tried to stop her, but she pushed past him and approached Elena. You destroyed everything.
No, Elena replied.
I finally stopped letting you decide what everyone else was allowed to see. Madeline reached for Elena's handbag and ripped it from her shoulder. The contents scattered across the floor.
A folder slid beneath the cameras.
Across the front were the words, Harbor House Hotel, Management Training Acceptance.
Elena froze.
Lucas, standing quietly near the back of the room, saw it too. Despite Madeline's complaint, the program had investigated the evidence and accepted Elena that morning.
Madeline stared at the letter.
You're leaving Boston.
Elena picked it up.
Yes.
Lucas's expression changed. The program was in Chicago.
Elena looked toward him across the crowded room. For the first time, the biggest obstacle between them was no longer Madeline. It was the fact that Elena was finally building a life that did not include the Bennett estate. The acceptance letter changed the room. For the first time since the pool incident, Elena was not standing there as Lucas Bennett's maid. She was standing there as a woman with somewhere else to go. Madeline stared at the letter in Elena's hand. You think Chicago is going to make you important? Elena slipped the page back into the folder.
No.
I already learned I don't need your permission for that.
Reporters caught every word.
Madeline's attorney stepped forward, but she pushed him away. This entire scandal happened because of her, she shouted. Lucas ignored me because she was always there, smiling, pretending to be innocent. Lucas finally moved from the back of the room.
No, he said. Madeline turned. You ignored every warning because you thought the people working for me were beneath your attention. You pushed Elena into a pool. You lied about it.
Then you tried to destroy her career because she survived.
Madeline's face trembled. And you chose her.
Lucas looked at Elena, then back at his former fiancée. I chose not to marry someone cruel.
Those are not the same thing.
Security escorted Madeline from the press conference after she tried to grab another reporter's phone. Her family later issued an apology, but the evidence was already public. The pool video had been viewed millions of times.
More importantly, former employees began coming forward.
Within weeks, labor investigators found that Madeline had ordered illegal wage deductions and pressured staff into unpaid shifts. The Bennett estate reimbursed every affected employee, and Lucas dismissed the management company that had buried the complaints. Madeline faced civil claims from several workers. But Elena wanted none of the settlement money offered in her name.
She wanted Chicago.
2 weeks later, she stood at the Bennett estate gates with one suitcase, the same way she had arrived 3 months earlier.
Rose hugged her tightly.
You'll visit an old woman occasionally. You'll call me every week whether I visit or not. Correct.
Lucas waited beside Elena's taxi.
I could arrange a car to Chicago. I already bought a ticket. I expected that answer. There was a silence neither of them knew how to fill. Finally Lucas said, when I jumped into that pool, I wasn't thinking.
I know.
That scares me. Elena looked at him.
Why?
Because I've spent my whole life calculating everything. And when I saw you disappear under that water, none of it mattered. Elena's expression softened. Lucas, I cannot leave one powerful woman controlling my life just to build another life around a powerful man.
I'm not asking you to. Good. He smiled faintly.
Can I call you? When you have something worth saying. The taxi pulled away.
Lucas did not chase it.
That mattered more to Elena than any declaration could have. 6 months later, Harbour House Hotel hosted its annual Hospitality Leadership Conference. Elena had entered the program as a trainee. She arrived at the conference as Assistant Guest Services Manager. Her supervisors had quickly discovered what the Bennett staff already knew. Elena noticed what other people overlooked. She improved employee scheduling, created an anonymous abuse reporting system, and convinced management to establish emergency water safety training after explaining why she had never learned to swim.
She learned too.
The first time she crossed a swimming pool without assistance, she cried after reaching the other side.
Not because she was afraid anymore. Because the water no longer belonged to Madeline.
After the conference, Elena stepped into the hotel lobby and saw Lucas sitting alone near the windows.
No entourage. No expensive gift. Just 2 coffees.
"You traveled 800 miles for coffee?" she asked. "I had a meeting nearby. In Chicago." "Eventually."
Elena laughed. He handed her 1 cup.
"I waited 6 months. I noticed. And I have something worth saying."
She raised an eyebrow.
Lucas told her the estate had created a permanent employee council with independent legal representation. Complaints now went directly to an outside firm. Rose chaired the first meeting and had apparently terrified 3 executives into rewriting their policies.
Elena smiled.
"Now that sounds useful."
Lucas looked at her.
"I don't want you back at the estate." "Interesting opening. I want to know you somewhere neither of us has authority over the other."
For a long moment, Elena said nothing.
Then she picked up her coffee.
"Dinner." Lucas blinked.
"That's a yes."
"It's dinner."
"Don't turn it into a merger." A year after Madeline pushed her into the pool, Elena returned to Boston for Rosie's 80th birthday. The party was held beside the same water. When Elena stepped onto the terrace, several former staff members applauded. She immediately shook her head. "Please don't make this dramatic."
Rose pointed toward the pool.
"You're going in."
Elena laughed. This time she removed her shoes herself. Lucas stood at the edge while Elena dove cleanly into the water and surfaced smiling. He offered his hand. She ignored it and climbed out on her own. Then she took it.
Madeline had pushed a maid into the pool believing humiliation would remind Elena where she belonged. Instead, that moment exposed Madeline, changed Lucas, and forced Elena to build something she had almost forgotten she deserved. A life chosen by herself. And when Lucas jumped into the water without hesitating, he saved Elena's life.
But walking away afterward was how Elena saved her own.